Let me start this lesson by asking you a question. What if I want to know the sales of agent 2 in France and where the quantity is above 3? So some of you will tell me I can use SUMIF formula, which is not correct because SUMIF can only take one criteria, and here you have 3. So the correct answer is that you have to use SUMIFS formula. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the difference between SUMIF and SUMIFS formula, which is a formula that came in 2007, in Excel 2007. I'm also going to show you average if versus average if s, and here the difference between sum ifs and average ifs is that it will average the number instead of summing them. And finally, I'm going to show you count if and count if s, which is a little bit different than the other two. So let's start with something simple. I want to know the sales of agent 1. So I'm just going to do equal sum if open parenthesis. Here you have the range. So the range is this, where I have my agents, comma, my criteria is that I want it to be equal to agent 1, and then my sum range is where I want to sum the numbers. So I'm going to select those, close the parenthesis, press enter, and you get 2082, which is the sum of those 4 numbers. And here, if you noticed, I'm using SUMIF. Now if I add to this USA, so I'm just gonna go to the formula bar and I'll do SUMIFS. Here if you notice, it starts with sum range, whereas the SUMIF, sum range is the last argument. Why is that? Because in this formula, Excel doesn't know how many criteria I'm gonna put. It can take a lot of criteria. This is why it puts it in the front, and they cannot change the other formula because it will not be compatible with other versions of Excel. So this is why you have it at the beginning. So we're going to select now the sum range, comma, my criteria range 1 is my agent, comma, it should be equal to agent 1, so that's fine, comma, criteria range 2, it's the country, and then it should be equal to USA. So we close the parentheses, enter, we get 1622, which is the sum of those 3. Let's continue. Now we're gonna do something where it's the same as before, but the quantity should be more than 3. So we're gonna go here and do equal sum if s, open parentheses, this is my sum range as usual, criteria 1 is basically the agent, comma, it should be equal to agent 1. Then criteria range 2, it's the country, it should be USA. And finally, the quantity, so I'm going to select this range. And then you have criteria 3. Here in the cell, it's already written above 3, so I can just select it this way. And then I close my parenthesis and I get 996, which is basically this number and this number. If I want to do the same as this, but instead of having bigger than 3 in the cell, I only have 3, what should I do? Basically, I'm just going to copy this formula. So Control C, Escape, then I will go here in the formula bar, Control V, and then I'm going to change this. So first, we're going to just drag those so we have the right criterias. And here, because I don't have bigger than 3, what I could do is put in double quotation bigger than double quotation and then and. You cannot just simply put bigger than I5, it's not gonna work. It has to take this as a text. So if I do this, I get the same number. There is a third version of this, so I'm just gonna copy it, Control C, Escape, go here, paste it, and instead of I5, I can just type it like this, and then do double quotation, enter, and you get the same number. So now note one thing. If I add some data here, let's say I put agent 1, and then I put USA, and then 6, 100, you will see that there won't be any change here. Why? Because the range I selected does not include this. So there is a way to fix this problem. I'm going to show you how to do this in the second example with average if, so you can apply it on SUMIF. And there is a second way to fix this problem with a table. I'm going to show you this with COUNTIF, and you can apply it on the other two. So let's just remove this data point. And let's start by doing average if for the sales of agent 2. So equal average if, open parentheses. So here again, the average range goes to the third argument. So my range is actually my agents. So instead of selecting this like this, you can select the whole column. The only thing is that it assumes that there is no data under it. If you have another table with agents, it could be a problem. So now this is our range, comma, our criteria is agent 2, and then comma, the average range. I'm just going to select the whole column, which is column D, and then I close my parentheses, enter, and then I'm going to have the average for agent 2, which is the average of those 5 records. Next, we want agent 2 and France, so we're going to use average ifs equal average ifs, open parentheses. Now the average range becomes my column D. If you have trouble selecting it, you just have to be a bit more precise like me. And then you do comma. Criteria range first is the agent, comma. The criteria is agent 2. Then my second range is the country, comma. It is France. And then we close parentheses. We get 472, which is agent 2 France. Next, we need to do with bigger than 3. So the same thing. Let's select the cell, equal average ifs, open parentheses. We're just going to do first the range, comma, we select this. We will do agent 2. Then we select the country. Then we will do France. Then we select the quantity. And then we will do bigger than 3, close parentheses, you get the answer. COUNTIF is the same as those two. However, the only difference is that it doesn't need a sum range or an average range. It will just count the cells. So it's a bit more simple. And the other thing I wanted to show you is that in this methodology, we selected the whole column. What you could do, in case you will have additional data that will come, you can just transform this to a table. So I'll click inside, I'll do insert table. So this is my data, it has headers. I will say, okay, this is table 1. I can change the name if I want to. Here I don't need to. And if you see, if I start with COUNTIF, I'm just gonna do count if. Here I have my range and then my criteria. So my range, I can just select this. You can see I get table 1 all. Then my criteria will be agent 2. Close parentheses, you get 5 records. Let's do the second one. So we're gonna go to formula bar, COUNTIFs with S, because we have 2 criterias now. Criteria range 1, this is my criteria range 1, comma, it should be agent 2, then criteria range 2, we take this one, comma, it should be France, and then we close parentheses, we get 3 records. Last one, equal COUNTIFs, open parentheses, so we will do this, comma, agent 2, comma, let's take the country now, we get France, and then if we take the quantity, comma, we'll select the quantity. If you noticed here, I didn't take the headers. It doesn't matter if you take the header in the formula. It will write for you table 1 agent or whatever it was in the previous example. So if I close this parenthesis and press enter, I get 2. Now if I add an agent 2 here and I put France, and I put, for example, 7 and 100, you can see that the average if will change and your count if results will change, because now it has automatically taken the additional record that we have in our table. So this is how you use those formulas. It is very useful when you have multiple criterias. In the meantime, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.